Hello students! Today we are starting with Module 1. Personal life is the topic that deals with people and their looks. We're going to read the text and deal with some pre, while and reading activities. Look at the picture. Where do you think these people live? In a desert? An overcrowded city? A village? Up in the mountains? How do you know it? My advice to you is to focus at their physical appearance, their way of wearing. My next question, what do you think their life might be like? Let's check these words and describe the people. Fairly short, dark in complexion, distinctive hats, spirited and cheerful. The text we are going to read deals about the Akka people. What do you think we'll read about them? Let's do some brainstorming together. We may be reading about their way of living, about their customs and traditions, where do they originate from, where do they live, their education, and what might happen to the tribe in the future. So the tribe future. Let's do the reading together. Please pay much attention to my words. The Akka way. High up in the mountains of Southeast Asia, you can find the Akka hill tribes living in their traditional village and farming the land. The history of the Akka people goes back hundreds, if not thousands of years. They originally came from Tibet region, being fairly short and dark in complexion. Today, they live in small villages in the mountains of China and Vietnam. The Akka people are rich in culture, history and tradition, but they are also among the world's poorest people. Akka women remain remarkably tough, spirited and cheerful in the face of such a harsh life. Akka men are brave and strong. The Akka have their way of measuring time where 1 week lasts 12 days, as well as their own set of rules. Each village has its own leader or handman, and under his guidance people follow a code of behavior known as the Akka way. Thanks to the Akka way, each person in these small communities knows their role in the society. The men provide for their families by farming crops like rice and corn. They are also talented craftsmen and make crossbows, baskets and musical instruments from bamboo. The women do spinning and weaving and make their own clothes. Their headdresses are especially distinctive. As for children, even though many of them don't attend school, they all know the names of every plant and animal in the forest. Akka villages, all white, quite similar. The bamboo houses with their thatched roof stand on stilts on the hillsides. Every village has 2 wooden frames that look like a doorway at its entrance and exit. These structures have spiritual significance and are called the spirit gates. Artists cover the frames with carvings of both evil and smiling faces. This is to invite good spirits to enter the village and keep bad spirits out. Sadly, the Akka way is slowly disappearing from many villages. A growing number of tourists are visiting them and introducing a taste of Western culture. The women and girls only dress traditionally when there are tourists around in the hope they will buy souvenirs. Some Akka have even decided to take things a step further. They are leaving their villages to seek their fortune in the big cities. Here we have a spirit gate picture. Let's do some reading comprehension. what is the importance of this kind of exercise? The multiple choice reading comprehension activity allows students to skim read and then to scan the text in many more details than they even thought about. In the alternatives, it is very well known the fact that one of the alternatives is totally out of the text and gives the students the opportunity to focus more in what is required. My advice to you is to scan thoroughly the text and find for details that are very similar most of times that deals with the question that is given to you. For example, the first one, let's do the first one as an example together. The Akka people live mainly on Tibetan farms, have a short history as a tribe, are not used to severe conditions, or are some of the least wealthy in the world. If we see the answer that firstly we see that it's out of the context we read about is that they have a short history as a tribe. Let's deal now with the other alternatives. Do they live mainly on Tibetan farms? The text said that they originally lived on Tibetan region, but now they live also in the mountains of China and Vietnam. They are not used to severe conditions. As we said, they live in the mountains, so these conditions are not as good as they pretend to be. So we see that all the three alternatives have something not dealing totally with the question. So the right one are some of the less wealthy in the world. Something else. In the alternatives, the answer is not given word by word, but is paraphrased. So it means that it is said in other words. You just have to guess or to find the meaning of the whole question and the rest of the answer. Have a look at the other multiple choice exercises. In the second one, we say, Akka women, as we said, they are spirited and cheerful. It means that they do not mind being poor. The most characteristic part of the Akka women's clothing is their, if you remember, hats. The adjective used in the text is distinctive. The Akka build spirit gates on the edges of their village to protect the village from danger, as they put both sad and smiling faces in the gate. It means that they want the good spirits to enter the village, or they welcome them, and they want to take the bad spirits out of the village. The writer thinks that the Akka way may not be around for much longer would be the right answer, because as we read previously in the text, many people, and mostly young people, are taking things a step further. They are leaving their tribes, and sometimes they are getting some Western elements of culture into their village. Also, the text said that the women and the girls dress traditionally only when there are tourists around, in the hope for them to buy some souvenirs. Let's go on. How to match these words with words from the text. In the first group, we have some words in their connotative meaning, and in the second group, we have words from the text that exactly or approximately have the same meaning as the words in the list. So, let's find the answers. Initially, we see that the meaning is originally. Skin color is complexion. Characteristic is distinctive. To learn by heart is to memorize. Importance, another word, is significance. To come together, we read in the text, it is gather. To bring in, if you remember elements of Western cultures, is to introduce. And to look for is to seek. Now let's do a gap-filling exercise. All these are expressions that were in the text. You will try to put a word in each of them to complete them as full expressions. For example, which might be a word that goes with characteristics? Have a look at the list of words above. It might be physical. What about short? Do you remember the Akka were fairly short? And so on with the rest of expressions. As a homework, you have to compare yourself with a person from the Akka tribe. Where to focus? Appearance, clothes, family, lifestyle, etc. Your article must be between 140 and 190 words. Thank you for your attention.